Today's episode comes straight from last week's live webinar. So if you weren't able to make it live, you are in for a total treat. David Normand and I pulled back the curtain on our newest Insights dashboard, built on data from hundreds of thousands of work orders, to pinpoint what's really holding operations back behind the scene. David breaks down how to spot the exact bottlenecks dragging out your work order cycles, how to manage vendors based on cold, hard performance data instead of just relationships, and how to get total visibility so you can finally take control. If you're ready for a much clearer, easier way to run maintenance, you're going to love this conversation. Let's dive right in. Welcome to the Property Management Framebreakers podcast. I'm your host, Pablo Gonzalez, and I am here to introduce you to the folks in the property management space that have broken the frame of what you may believe was possible. This podcast is presented by Vendoroo. It is your all-in-one AI solution for resolving your maintenance needs. Let's go. Welcome everyone to our monthly Vendoroo webinar. I am Pablo Gonzalez. I'm the Chief Evangelist at Vendoroo. With me, as always, on these webinars is what I like to call the heart and soul of Vendoroo, the guy whose mission for the last 20 years has been to take away the pain of maintenance and the burnout from the property manager's life because he's experienced it himself. The guy who's personally corrected hundreds of thousands of work orders and all this stuff. The original brain of the Roo, David Normand. Say hello.
Yeah, nice to see everybody. Thank you for joining. Really, really excited about today. Probably the most excited I've been about a webinar ever. So glad to have everybody joining today. Let's
unpack that for a second here, David. You joined this call and I'm like, man, there's like a glow on your skin. I don't know what it is. Like, are you? And I asked, what's going on? Like, you seem particularly jovial. You're like, dude, I feel like I've passed this kind of part of this like trudging, and stuff is starting to get really, really fun for you. Take us behind the scenes of like what you mean by that before we start breaking down everything we want to share here.
Yeah, it's been a lot of work, right? It's been a lot of work to try to create an operator that I'm pleased with, and create an operator that I'm seeing that clients are now becoming pleased with, and seeing the light bulbs that are going off, and seeing the things that people are achieving. And I was working with Rue the other day, and I said, all right, Rue, you're handling like tens and tens and tens of thousands of properties, right? Thousands and thousands and thousands of work orders. I'm like, can you just kind of give me your assessment on how operations are going? And so, I'm working with Rue, we're doing all this data analysis, and Rue came back and it was the coolest status that I've ever seen in my 20 years. And it came back and it said, the status of the overall health, except for like 10% of like this, some people that identify that, I'm doing some work with, is calm. And I was like, what's calm? Well, it was like, well, there's things that are going on, and first there's breaks, but overall, like all the residents and the vendors and the owners and things are moving on, are doing great. And I think that everything's pretty calm today. And I was like, I don't know, dude, I just got goosebumps, and I just kind of see it. And there's been so many clients, and I'm seeing big breakthroughs and just people achieving amazing stuff. So that's where I'm just sitting in that moment for a bit. 2 years to see calm. So actually 20 years. So
I think that's a beautiful microcosm for what we're trying to create for property managers out here, right? Yeah. A sense of calm in a very hectic, very emotional business model of trying to serve rental property investors.
Yeah, because that's the thing, right? Everyone says like, maintenance is such a gut thing sometimes. People show up and they walk into their office and they can sense if it's calm, chaotic, even before they look at anything, right? And so it's so hard to show that in status. And the fact that Rue has picked up and to understand like how we as operators view, like, tell me like the health, what's going on, that was like blew my mind away. Like somebody told me UFOs are real type of deal, so. It's cool.
Sounds good, man. All right. Well, that was just kind of the warm up. Make sure everybody gets you on time. If you're here, you're in the right place. We are going to talk about this first look access into these newest insights. This idea of the portfolio is calm is just a very, very small general example of this. But we're really going to go through this dashboard that is showing all these different things now that we've always wanted as operators. The real thing here is to understand that, being an operator is tough because there's so many moving parts. It's tough to be a leader. It's tough to manage people. It's hard enough to be an individual contributor in property management. And our approach to building Vendoroo is to give everybody the tools to be a world-class property manager. And that starts with visibility into a normally multi-stakeholder decision-making, infinite context operation that has been very, very hard to like break down into like smaller pieces, see deeply in it. And we talk a lot about, to be a great manager, you want to be managing the forest, not the individual trees. But in order to do that, you have to have a system that can surface exactly what trees need watering, so that you can then work on the strategy of the forest and tending all these things. And what David is about to show you, he's going to walk you through our newest dashboard and the insights that come with it, how to think about that and how you manage. And then we're going to walk you through a couple of examples of what this means to you from a leadership standpoint, right? It's not just what is happening inside of my operation, but it's bring me the opportunities to improve, whether they are inside or outside of my business, whether it's within my team or outside of my team, in order to be able to better this thing in a way that I feel empowered. Right, Dave?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
if you are here, I'd love for you to check in on the chat. I'm gonna be chatting with you in the chat. I'm gonna play the noble fool here. I'm gonna make sure that David isn't explaining anything over my head to keep it real, like good for all the questions that everybody wants to ask. But if you have a question, if you want to wait a place that you want Dave to take this, put it in the chat. I'm going to be moderating this conversation. David, show us the baby.
All right, cool. So in all previous webinars, even speaking to owners or to maintenance coordinators, I've spent a lot of time talking about day one value and workflows of our frontline, our maintenance coordinator teams and how they've changed, right? And I just want to like set the bar today. Today, I am talking to the operations managers, the owners of the company. Like I'm talking to you. Rue has graduated from just being a maintenance coordinator and is now moving into like being the operations manager and really reporting to you directly. So this is exciting to see it from the lens of like how an owner is looking, how a director of operations is looking, to kind of set the stage here for today. So let's dive in. Let's have a little bit of fun here today. Take a look at some stuff here. All right. So we all know I start off all the time, right? What's the first thing that our teams are doing every single morning? And I absolutely love this one client who I've been working with. These guys are absolutely crushing it. They have 800 doors. I'm always going to set the benchmark to let you know what people are achieving. They have one dedicated guy or maintenance person who is focused on working with Rue every day. And today that person has 5 tasks that they need to do. They have 168 open work orders. Rue's got everything else covered. They have 5 tasks that they need to do today. How exciting is that, right? Like think about the chaos that you think of 163 work orders straight. It's all organized, it's all under control, it's calm. We all know about the tenant sentiment, guys, right? The health of our resident community, our policies, the way people are interacting with their vendors is so important. And I'm seeing so many companies now setting standards for their teams that are saying, we are aiming to be between 61 and 80. And if we fall short, we know why we're falling short. This is the second thing our teams are focusing on, right? And I just love this. Like, this is just makes me want to get out of bed in the morning. Just look at the rate of automation, just crushing it, right? Working with their Rue, nobody's involved. Work orders are getting done, absolutely dominating it with that many open work orders. Okay, so that's great. Their team's working well, but as the owner of the company,
David,
okay,
just to recap that, right? Because I'm assuming that there's a mix of folks, and I see it in the chat. We have a community that shows up to all of these, and they've been kind of like seeing all of this. And then there's probably some people that are new here; they're being newly exposed. Go back to the work order section. What you're saying right now is, and we've established this in past webinars, right? That we can send you if you haven't seen this. But the new workflow, it used to be that your maintenance coordinator would every work order. They are triaging, they're assigning vendors, they're scheduling, they're executing, like they're following up on the completion of this. Rue, when you implement Rue, what happens is Rue handles all that stuff and then surfaces the few things that it needs extra human eyes on. And for
Yep.
this client that has 800 doors on a typical day today, they have how many? They have
Five.
208 work orders
Yeah,
going
they have
on.
five. They have five questions that they need to ask through today. That could be
And
eh,
160. Well, I'm trying to get to the big number. The big number is it's handling 163 work orders, which is normal in a 800 door portfolio. There's only five questions it has in order to get those done. So that
168 work orders. It needs five approvals, directives. Hey, I'm letting you know this vendor's not responding. There's five things that need to be touched today. Out of all
yes,
that noise,
yeah.
five things. Yeah.
Which then means if you go down to the insights of what you were just showing, right? When you're at that level, what you see now is that they're at a very high level of automation, right? They're at this 88.4%. That means that 88.4% of their work orders, they don't have to touch in any way. They are completely opened and closed, completely automated, and they're only having to get involved is this in this week?
That's this week current. Yeah. Yeah.
In,
That's
in
this
in
week.
this week, they've only had to touch 11.6% of their work orders at all. And while all that is happening, they're at a resident sentiment score right now that is happy residents, right? Like you have this idea of like you're able to measure resident satisfaction, right? Their residents are satisfied.
Yeah,
It's
not even resident.
automated.
Yeah,
Their day is
resident
not chaos.
satisfactions. People are frustrated about policies. If a vendor didn't show up because Rue saw the text message where the resident said, "Hey, you told me you were going to be here an hour ago and you missed the appointment again." Anything that's falling in real time, that's breaking, that you usually get when a resident walks into your office is upset or they put in a, "I'm canceling my lease because of whatever situation's going on." This is where people are spending time on and crushing it. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So that's the old stuff, right? Like this is the stuff that we've proven. We've been teaching on this for a while. This is the new role of the maintenance coordinator. Handle those escalations, look at resident sentiment scores, put out embers before they become fires, and then manage the forest ahead of the trees. Now show us the new stuff, Dave.
Okay, cool. Well, first of all, just so everybody knows that now working with Rue at any given time, you have the ability just to go on any one of the little buckets and you can just kind of see, hey, I just want to know, what does this bucket mean? Explain this insight. So this is again your maintenance coordinator just kind of telling you, hey, this is how I view this bucket. This is what it's explaining. And so you can have a little bit of information on any single one of these buckets that we're getting into here, right? So now I'm talking to the owners of the company. Okay. We're talking about, so we all know that we have the basic stuff, right? How many active work orders do we have? What's the percentage of emergencies we're getting? How many we've closed in the last days? Our trends, pretty cool stuff, but we've had these types of metrics for a while and it's pretty standard. But this is when I think things start getting really excited for the owners to understand the value and the effort that a 24/7 employee is really providing to us. Check out the number of communications that Rue has managed for this office in the last 30 days. Okay. This has all been removed from this office, right? The number of messages and emails and after hours communications that Rue is handling. And it would take an army of people to try to keep up with this amount. And this is what it takes to hold maintenance in real time. This is what it takes to hold people accountable and to follow up and to make sure things aren't falling through the cracks. And this is why, on average, Rue reduces open work orders for clients by 37% when it's working, just because it's able to work in this real time at this capacity that our previous human-led task-based management teams were not able to keep up with. Okay.
Yeah, it's wild to see those numbers on there. An 800 door portfolio in 30 days takes 6,862 text messages to be sent, 5,276 messages, 3,822 after hours communications, right? Like I think this reinforces this idea that like somewhere between 40 to 50% of stuff is happening when we're not in the office. And then this idea that 59 are resolved remotely, right? Like that scale, I think anybody that works in property management isn't surprised by giant numbers of like how tedious all this is, but when you put it on that screen, it's
Yeah, like check this out. In the previous 30 days, Rue resolved 108 work orders for this portfolio without having to get anybody involved, including a vendor. Was able to troubleshoot it, resolve it, get them to the right point, share them with the policy, and get that closed out. Think about all that noise you just removed from your office now.
yeah,
Right? Right.
amazing.
Super cool. For those using Receptionist, you know that you have an amazing Receptionist insights, but it just does kind of give you that owner perspective to let you know the amounts of calls, things that are coming in your volume. We've looked at this at other webinars. I'm not going to dive into that today. But here's where the huge change to me is happening, right? So currently in today's, forever in maintenance, we've all had this number, right? We measure our success by the average days that a work order is open, right? And so somebody is at like 12 average days and they're like, well, how are we going to get it down to 8? Because I went to a conference and they said 8's the standard because some report was released, right? So everyone gets into a room and they're like, we're going to yell at our vendors harder. We're going to work faster. We're going to push people harder to do this. But really what Rue is saying is like, guys, listen, this isn't all just about like, pushing vendors harder. Let's take a look into all the steps of the way that people are communicating through the life cycle of a work order. And if we can focus on these pillars and understand little incremental improvements, knock off big chunks in days, right? So for example, vendors on average taking 2.7 days to accept a work order. Focus on that for this week as a team, right? Get that trend down to getting your vendors to accepting that in like 12 hours. Maybe it's the time that it's taking for bids to be approved. Why are bids taking, 3 days to be approved? And this isn't about when the status changes, right? The status change doesn't signify to when people are actually responding, accepting, communicating, right? This is all about communications. So now operators and owners, we have targeted insights to understand how our owner community, our resident community, our vendor community, and our teams inside of our offices are holding themselves accountable and responding to the part of the work order that they're responsible for moving forward. Focus on the ones that are out of the line, and you're going to achieve those numbers just by focusing on targeted buckets.
David, so I'm just gonna like personalize this, right? Diane was asking us questions here in the chat, so I looked up what she is. She's a maintenance coordinator at a property management company. If her boss is saying, "Hey, we are right now at a average of 12 days to complete a work order," that's what we know. How do we bring this down, right? Like it would be on her to go in and say, okay, well, what are the greatest areas of improvement that I can do this to affect this change? And when AI can break out exactly how much time is being spent in triage versus assigned to the team for coordination versus pending vendor acceptance versus pending cost approval versus in scheduling versus service scheduled versus escalated for consideration versus pending completion confirmation, completed and pending invoice, on hold, pending vendor estimate, completed without service required. And you can now see there's a clustering in exactly one. Pending vendor acceptance is at 41. Everything else is much lower. Her best use of her time, instead of just like, again, taking a guess at what you can do, is go straight at, okay, pending vendor acceptance. What can I do to get vendors to accept things sooner? And
yeah,
there
is that a new SLA? Do you have to have a meeting with your vendors? I mean, that's a targeted approach. I mean, we all give free work to our vendors. They're not paying for us. We're giving them. And so now we can have a benchmark and just being like, guys, like, our standard is, 3 days. And I'm going to get into how you can understand who these vendors that are not doing that. But yes, these are targeted initiatives. She didn't have to spend a month or a week trying to figure out where she needs to focus on. She just comes in every single day and understands where they're focusing on as a company with targeted approaches. This is a huge change in visibility for our operations managers and the owners of the company.
Beautiful.
And the big one, like I always tell everybody this, like on here, if you're seeing like their team response is phenomenal in this company. But I always look at this, and a lot of these companies, like employees are taking like 2 days to respond, 3 days to respond. Yeah. And I always tell everybody, think about it this way. You're the owner of the company. You send me a Slack message. It takes me 3 days to respond to your Slack message. I'm probably going to be in your office having a much different conversation about my performance than like, how's my day, right? Like that's the rate of speed. So the correlation for owners to realize that when they see that metric, this is really the way that your employees are working, because Rue is an employee of your company, right? And we want to treat and honor that relationship. So any other questions here, or we want to continue to move on?
Yeah, let's continue to move on. Nathan has a question, but I'm gonna save it for once you get past all this.
Okay, cool. So then, we break out average service response, the same types here, just a little bit of visibility into that. A lot of cool metrics in here. Again, this is an owner suite, an operations suite, understanding where my resident sentiment score, the percentage of work orders that are getting done, when my team's getting involved, what are the reasons why things are being delayed, right? Just again, that visibility to understand really what's slowing me down. And so I can focus on what's happening. But guys, this is the big thing here is, first of all, it's really good to understand the type of money that we're spending and who is getting that money from us from vendors, right? And the type of owners that are spending a bunch of money. Like if you got an owner that's like spending a bunch of cash, like in that 2-week period, that 1-week period, it's probably good that you have a proactive phone call with them or give them a heads up, right? Like you don't want to get caught on this when the owner's statement comes. I have this one because I know in the community, the dreaded owner day after statement phone calls, right? Mm-hmm. Right. I didn't know I was spending this much money. What, and now we're scrambling and we're trying to salvage the relationship. Why don't we just understand what owners are spending money beforehand and maybe just give them a proactive call? And that owner's like, this is why I have somebody managing my asset. Right. So
as an owner of a small portfolio of 5 doors, I'm going through 2 turns right now, and each turn is about $12K. I can definitely empathize with wanting to know my costs ahead of time.
Yeah. Right. So let's be proactive about this and understand this. Right. Yeah. And then, guys, this is what I'm like beyond excited about. Okay. Everything comes down to the reliability of our endpoints, and the reliability of our endpoints are our vendors, right? And we can see now how much spend they're getting, how many work orders are they getting, what is their vendor acceptance rate? Let's think about this, owners and operators of this community, right? Do we have SLAs that tell vendors, hey, I'm giving you free work and I'm expecting that your work order acceptance rate is 90%, 85%, 100%. And if it falls below there, you're no longer reliable to me, and I'm going to have a different question with you or a different conversation with you, but I have real data to be able to see that, right? Understanding what their average resolve time is, okay? What their costs are. And as we're looking in here and getting into costs, this is a really cool piece that's coming out, right? Is we're looking at what is the average peer vendor cost now in these areas. And what Roo's doing is if it has state pricing, like somebody in your state did a price, this is where it's gathering data. If there's no one local that's using Roo, but if there is somebody that's local into your area, it's able to grab that. So you can see that the benchmark level is either at the state level that you're in, or if it's in the local area in your area. So we begin to see how is my pricing being established, for my region or in my area as I'm benchmarking my costs with my vendors, right? Right.
Okay.
And right.
All right.
And
all
then,
right, David, slow down here. Right. Yep. So this shows all my different vendors. It's showing, can you scroll the bar all the way over? Talk me through just like, let's just do an inventory here. Like it's each different vendor, the category, the spend per vendor, how many work orders you're giving them, how many they accept, their average resolution days, average service cost. Just in that line alone, what I'm hearing is, hey, this is everything I need to negotiate with a vendor better terms. Hey, here's how much work I'm giving you. Here's how much I'm spending with you, right? Like, here's how you're doing. This is a good partnership. It's not a good partnership. This is what we need to work on. And oh, by the way, in these numbers here, they show me that you're charging me a little bit more than the rest of the local economy is charging for this. What's going on? Right? Is that the conversation that we're having based on this
that's
stuff?
what we're really trying to bring this now to, that you kind of understand. As we know, prices are going up everywhere. Owners are worried about costs, and just having those honest conversations with our vendors. We don't have to be subjective anymore. Let's have honest, data-driven conversations. Correct.
Love that.
Yeah. And then if we go all the way to the right.
Oh, you just made me think of something there, David. Yep. Honest data conversations. So much of vendor selection, vendor, know-how is based on feels, right? It's just like, hey, we use this vendor because they bring us donuts every week.
I love it. I'm actually had a conversation with somebody last week about it, and they're like, well, my maintenance coordinator loves this vendor. I said, really? Cool. Let's go take a look at it. And we looked at it. It was one of the worst performing vendors that they had statistically, but I don't know, was it a brother, sister, friend, mom? I don't know, right? Who knows?
Maybe they bought him tickets to the Cubs game. I don't know.
Who knows, right? But now those conversations and those feelings from the owner mindset are gone. Yeah. And then we can see again, right? how much work is it taking for your team to get them to accept the work orders, right? And manage those work orders. And then what is their tenant quality ranking score, the resident sentiment? We link this right back to residents that are working with them with the vendors, right? How are the residents saying that we like them? So we can take a look at here, and we can have a benchmark for our vendors. We expect our vendors to be at a 60 and above on a benchmark. And if they're below 50, because the maintenance coordinator doesn't have any work to do today, because Rue's handling it all, they can jump into this work orders. They can look at the tenant sentiments that were linked to them. They can understand what the challenges are. And this is how we're making improvements in our communities, better supporting our owners and our residents. Yes.
This is awesome.
All right. So this is really, again, designed for the operations, designed for the owner, so that you have insights into what your Rue coordinator is achieving, your benchmarks for success inside of your company, your insights to your vendors, and targeted approaches for improvements. And you can look at any date fields, any ranges, anything along this line, right? So before I move on, does anybody have any questions here? Because I'll continue to showing some things.
Yeah, we've got a couple of, not exactly specific to this, but I think people are here. There are clients that want some answers. I think we can help them out real quick and then move on to the rest of the stuff we're going to show. Nathan asked earlier that he's been seeing a good amount of work orders that do not get escalated, but are made urgent and then assigned to the PM. The problem is without the escalation, he has no way of knowing when a work order is sent over to the PM to manage without looking at all the emails, texts, etc. I received from Vendoroo.
Well, if Rue is ever escalating a work order to a property manager, and I would have to look at those specific cases, Nathan, that always shows up in one of two ways. Rue is emailing, or Rue is putting the escalations right here inside. So there should be no text messages whatsoever. Daily, the only escalations you should ever be receiving, if you want, you can come through email. The majority of people prefer that they just use their escalations bucket here through Rue. So if you're working with your AAA advisor on Juan's team, any of you know Juan or Owen or Taylor, even myself, reach out to me by email, david.norman@vendoroo.ai, and I'd be happy to look into that case for you.
And David, I've kind of introduced you to a handful of people, right? Like Shapen's one of them. He's on this call of they're saying, hey, I'm seeing what I hear in the webinars and what I'm hearing from other clients. I'm not exactly going through that experience. And I find that number one, you're always super pumped to like jump on the phone, like jump on a Zoom call, talk you through it, and you have you're batting 1,000 on like blowing somebody's mind and then correct them forever. So Nathan, that option is wide open for you. The other thing that I see, because I love joining these calls, and what I'm reading through here, and I'm not trying to put anybody on blast, but I've seen in the past this idea that a work order is being not escalated, made urgent, and assigned to the PM. Sometimes that's just teammate error, right? Sometimes that's just a teammate look at like jumping into whatever Rue is doing, assigning it away, and then making it their problem as opposed to letting Rue do its thing as well. So there could be like a wide range of reasons why this is happening. And I feel like you're really good at like looking at the dashboard and knowing exactly what's going on.
Yeah, Rue, and we can tell you with one of your coordinators, I could tell you in probably 30 seconds to identify probably why that's happening, looking at your account. Nathan, I share this with everybody again, the 5 reasons why most implementations fail, right? We have employee fear, we have, people working outside the system, we have, not giving the context, right? That's always a big one, Pablo, that we talk about. You hire a new employee, you tell them that, hey, it's your job, you're responsible for triaging this work order. And just imagine your, maintenance manager walks over, the employee's on a phone call triaging, they hang up the phone, they sign the vendor, and they walk away. And the employee's like, well, what did I do wrong? I was triaging per the script that you gave me and you're doing, without the context of understanding that adjustment. It's the same way that Rue operates. Rue's trying to figure out, why did you stop me? Why did you interrupt me? So I'm happy to dive in with you and take a look at that. So.
Cool. Also, Nathan, I just DM'd you. Let me know the name of your company. He's got a call with Juan at 2, so he's going to be able to jump in there. There's one more question here from Oscar Valdivieso. He says, we've been very happy with Vendoroo overall and have a great experience with it so far, but I have a question. What specific field triggers Rue to halt automated follow-ups? Is it the work order status, the action logs, or internal notes? We've noticed a sync lag where our team closes/bills a work order internally, but Rue still reopens or processes actions on it before syncing, causing double work. How frequently does Rue pull status updates, and how can we ensure closed bill statuses instantly stop Rue's automation?
Yeah, great question. So Rue is constantly syncing up into PMS systems. It's checking for new statuses and new changes. It's not 100% real time because that puts a lot of load on the API integrations. So I would have to look at your workflow to understand that if Rue is marking a work order closed, okay, there should be nothing that's coming in after the work order that's causing any type of a trigger. Like Rue's already asked the resident for the quality. It's already got the invoice and the pictures from the vendor. So that'd be another great case that I would love to look into. So Pablo, if we can connect that one, send them my email or get them with their AAA. I'd love to dig in to understand why Rue would be saying in action on a closed work order.
Got it. We will follow up with you, Oscar and Nathan as well.
Cool.
Okay, keep on trucking, buddy.
All right. So here's an exciting one to me now. So Rue is graduating, right? It's said everyone's like, all right, like Rue, you've been a maintenance coordinator, you're doing it. And now, as I showed you in the insights, it's moving over to that operations mindset. And so for owners, be aware now, if you start receiving these communications from your employee, okay, your employee is going to be reaching out to you and just kind of letting you know, hey, listen, I'm monitoring operations. I'm just trying to show you guys that, like, there's the team, there's like 30 escalations that I'm waiting on, or nothing's stalled. And so it's picking areas that it's seeing where workflows are breaking down, where you are not operating in that top percentile of people that are just dominating automation, right? Really picking up on things of where maybe team members are working outside the system or they're not responding to Rue, within the appropriate time. So this is where Rue is now becoming a proactive manager within your office and is going to be reaching out to you sometimes we're thinking on a weekly basis. We're getting feedback from clients to understand when they want to see these and what's the cadence of these. So I'm really excited about this. So it's going to go out to the owners and just kind of let you know a little bit about how your team's working and where Rue feels that the improvements can be made, kind of those coaching tips. And I'm giving people one-on-one. We've now built that into the intelligence, and this is a new feature that's coming out.
Where do they receive this? Is this an email? Is this like a message from PMRU?
Yeah, it will come to an email to them. Yep. Yep.
Okay,
Yep. So just a kind
cool.
of like, hey, here's my weekly report. Here's how things are kind of going. You have all your insights, but this is kind of like areas that it's seeing that are maybe need some improvement, specifically kind of like you personal relationship with your assistant type of deal Rue's moving into. So
Cool. So I haven't seen these at all. Can I just kind of read this out and tell you what I think this is?
yeah,
All right. So, hi, boss, Bell here. I'm assuming Bell is the name of their route.
correct.
Right. Just reporting on how things are flowing at X property management company. Work is moving, but one thing needs your eyes this week. A queue of escalations awaiting on your answer. 30 escalations awaiting your answer. The oldest has been waiting for 2 days. Average reply time to me this month is 25 hours. Teams that answer within 24 hours keep work orders moving and cut resident wait times nearly in half. This to me feels like I have somebody in my that is managing the maintenance or that's coaching me managing the maintenance department and is saying, "Hey, listen, man, I'm just walking around the floor. I'm seeing that's happening. I'm looking at analytics. Here is an opportunity to improve." And what it looks like is that your team is taking a little longer than what the best teams are to answer escalations. So I, as a boss now, walk in and I say, "Hey guys, I understand that this is happening. Are we overloaded with something else? Do we understand that our number one priority is to look at these escalations in the morning and then once in the afternoon and make sure that these things are moving? What are we spending our time with?" That would be what me as a boss I would do.
Yeah. And read this one here, this last box.
Okay, cool. I'll just finish reading it. Zero work orders stalled in past 30 days. None of your 97 open work orders are stalled. Great pace. Let's keep it. That tells me my processes, the way that I've been commanding my RU is working, right? Like that, like the RU has everything it needs to do its job, except for maybe this like escalation pathway. And then your resident sentiment report was last opened 11 days ago. Checking it every 3 days catches unhappy residents before they churn. Got it. So this is again somebody saying, "Hey, I've been talking to everybody in your clientele base and I've been sending you reports on who's happy and who's not, but you're not looking at it in time to put out an ember before it becomes a fire." Right? So maybe every 3 days, now you get to like catch stuff before they become Google reviews and you can make residents feel heard and happy and move on. And you're getting this kind of update from somebody working inside your company.
Yeah. So it's looking at the behavior of the way that we're training our frontline teams to be behaving. We know we want them to work on escalations, right? We know we want them to check out tenant sentiment. We know that we want them to go in and do the training, the trust but verify buckets that we're looking at. And if those behaviors from our employees are falling out of pattern, Rue's going to reach out to you and just be like, hey, just letting you know, no one's been inside here for the last 10 days. To me, that's a major concern because there's probably frustrated residents in here or something's going on. And I don't want you, we can't be caught off guard as a company. So holding people accountable is where Rue is taking that next step into working together as a member of your team.
Awesome. To me, Dave, like this is like one of those things we talk about of how valuable AI is as a mirror. Because at the end of the day, if my job was to like rat out my teammates, there may be some kind of like, I don't know, emotional ties that I may have that maybe I don't surface this as quickly as I want. But AI is unemotional. It gives you the data. It gives you the opportunity, without any whatever, and it allows you to like take action before things get out of hand.
That's it. I mean, we all have one common goal here, right? And is to ensure that our investments in technology and what's available to us is helping us take what could be great operations and make them excellent, what could be struggling operations and make them excellent. And Rue is a member of that team. And so it understands that it has a fiduciary duty to many people. And where it's really growing is that fiduciary duty to reporting and data accuracy to the owner of the company. And I'm just thinking of sitting there and thinking of all the days in operations that I had that somebody was just flagging me to let me know that, somebody didn't open up their inbox for 5 days. Like I'd really like to know that because there's probably 100 emails in there of owners' approvals or something that need to get done, So, I don't want to come in and say, why did we lose this owner? And it's like, well, no one's responded back to X, Y, and Z for X number of days, so.
Yeah, I gotcha. Abigail Lipson's asking, when does this go into effect? We're finding a number of work orders stalled for over 30 days and dealing with the fallout of that.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is the first round that you're seeing right here. These are heading out, right? And then Abigail, I'm not sure which company she's with, but yeah, love to get you with your AAA coordinator. You're probably looking at Abigail Smart Egg Properties. Okay, great. Let's take a look. So first of all, Abigail, your automation is off the charts, currently at 99.2%. So congratulations on that. Yeah, Abigail, just kind of been communicating, just looking at some of your numbers here. I'd be happy to jump on a call with you. And if you actually go look at your new, operations insight dashboard, if you want to take a look at, average times and responses, you could probably begin to parse some pieces there, but happy to dive into that with you as well. And also congratulations on your resident sentiment score. You guys are doing great. You're at 64%. 34 of your last 35 resident sentiment scores came in. We're all super positive, loving your maintenance process. So again, love seeing that and rewarding people for like awesome metrics to be able to look at that. So
that's cool. Dave, were you going to show more of these kind of like sample reports that we can show of insights that it can resurface?
I showed that one. They're all going to be kind of similar, the same. That's just one kind of blocked out the company's name on there. So, but yeah, I mean, everyone should start beginning to receive them. So, yeah. How do I get it on a call with David?
We got you, Abigail. We got you. We'll make that happen. Okay. Any other questions? Is there anything else that you wanted to go through here, Dave?
No, I just really wanted to focus on this. We spend a lot of time on the day one values and workflows, and I do want to just offer to anybody. I love consulting. I fly out to people. I see them. We host the dinners. I will do it online. I'll do it over the phone call, text message, whatever. I would love to schedule a phone call. It's my goal to meet with every single one of our clients. Pablo's done a great job of connecting me with people so we can walk through it together. Please reach out to me. My email is david.normand, Normand. Pablo is posting it in the chat. Shoot me an email. I'd love to get on a call with you. I can guarantee you within 45 minutes that you are going to become one of the top operators in the Rue maintenance.
I double that claim, right? Like I have seen it happen over and over again. And I'll tell you, it is when you really see this idea of who's a missionary and who's a mercenary out here. Like for David, I happen to know that David is a unbelievably busy person, but he's equally passionate. And like, it's clear to me that his number one priority is the effect that this intelligence in people's hands is going to do for the property management industry, because he knows the pain of this thing, right? So like I literally just like slacked him yesterday. I was like, hey, I got this person. Like, dude, just set it up. I'm in, right? Like you're always in to do it. You don't just do it. You then I see you like, right? Like perfect example is Shaping in his team, right? Like, not only did you do it, I then saw you the following Monday follow up, like, hey, I'm still seeing this thing, and continue to coach them. And really, what we're trying to create is like a whole bunch of people that really, really see this thing the way that David sees this. Because the moment that you see it the way that he sees it, I'm telling you, he's batting 1,000 in this idea of like, boom, lights on, things get transformed, operations change, and you immediately move into like client evangelism, which
Yeah,
is the selfish part for me.
no, which is cool. And just,
Yeah.
that one, meeting tidbit I'll give to everybody because it is common, right, guys? It is, as a community, is making sure that people are working with Rue and inside the system, right? Vendors should not be texting our teammates outside of the system. People should not be communicating that all that data is lost, all that communication is lost, all that real-time activity is lost. The people that embrace Rue, work with Rue, let Rue run the operations, and let people focus on the things that matter, the reliability of the endpoints, focusing on the tenant sentiment. They are just changing their operations overnight. And the numbers are just like their automation, happiness of residents, improving policies, all these things. You can just see them just getting better and better, daily, not weekly, just daily. So just focus on that and reach out to me. Happy to jump on a call with anybody.
Sounds good. So that being said, happy to give everybody back a little bit of time on this webinar. Go into these insights, right? Like start, if you're not already, on the new workflow, right? The new workflow is you check your escalations, handle your escalations, and then you go into these insights and start looking at where you can improve the operation and start, moving those levers. Go to the resident sentiment report, see who's unhappy, go put out those embers. Then go to these reports and start thinking, okay, cool. Is this the place, like where are the leverage points that I can push in order to continue to improve these numbers? You're going to see the sentiment reports continue to go up. You're going to see owners being happier, and you're going to feel like how we started this thing, this sense of like calm in your operation because you're playing offense instead of playing defense.
Yeah, and just real quick, that last one, MCP integrations. For those using Receptionist with Claude, the first residents are actually in beta testing with that. That is something that is coming out where you can ask any questions, pull any insights. So actually, very, very great question. You're going to be seeing a lot more of that coming here in the next 30 to 60 days.
You're down with MCP? Yeah, you know me. All
I'm
right.
down with MCP. All right.
All right, Dave. Good job with this, man. I'm super pumped for this like new level that we've reached, right? Like when I'm out there speaking, I've like introed this a couple of times in my last round of talks. Last year, I was really talking about the world outside of Rue because we were trying to still figure out exactly the way that Rue needed to like fit with this world. These days, I have the great joy of really just talking about what's inside of Rue because we've reached the scale of like 500 plus deployments. We have this layer of visibility that for me, it's undeniable when I'm like in webinar after webinar and I see you continue to like peel back the onion into like visibility into what's actually moving the needle, man. It's really, really a fun ride. So great job building this product out, man. I really respect your passion on this stuff. And
There's
I
a lot
can't.
of people behind this, a lot of guys. I'll give a big shout out to Oren. He's our product guy that worked with me here on this new insights piece. He's also working on some really cool owner. Man, these new owner features that are coming out, I'm so excited about them.
Oh, you want to tease that for the folks that are still on the call? Just a little taste.
little tease. So
A
yeah,
little taste.
so Rue watches, and Rue came back and said, to me, like, basically, I got a question, right? All the owners are kind of asking the same number of questions when they get estimates. Why are we not providing all that information to them beforehand so that they approve it on the first try versus the time it's taking people to do approvals or asking for multiple bids? It's all like, this is a completely broken process, right? And it's interesting because the questions were around trust. Number one, did you do anything before you just dispatched the vendor? Because all owners think that property managers just hit send vendor button, right? Send vendor button. That's like the easiest thing. No, we triage, we worked with them, we try to get this done, right? History on the property. Like, what have I spent in the last 3 months? Is this, should I, do I have the money for this? Do I not have the money for this? Right? Is this a repair over a replacement? Is the resident happy or frustrated with what's going on? Does that impact it? How about this one? How many other people in the rental community are experiencing the same issue as me? A lot of rental owners, and Pablo, you kind of think this, you get like a maintenance issue at one of your properties. You're like, why my property? Well, actually, Pablo, 27% of people in your local area are also doing unit turns right now. Oh, okay. It's a part of it's a part of it, right? So we have this amazing owner communications tool that's coming out. I believe it's going to be called the Decision. That will be on every work order. And just so that property owners have full visibility into all that we do behind the scenes, even when it comes down to getting a $400 estimate for somebody, all the check marks and everything that we have in there. So that's coming out. Be on the lookout for that. I can't wait for our first webinar on the Decision and owner communications.
Love it. Love it. In the meantime, you can count on us to continue to develop Brew to make it so that everybody can be a world-class operator, right? Like, we are going to make this operations game as laid out for you as possible, based on the data, based on the intelligence. It's not about automating workflows. This is about creating a layer that can absorb your context and make decisions like you, so you don't have to worry about work orders, and allow you to, again, manage the forest instead of the trees, put out embers instead of fighting fires. That's what we're building here.
Right. And remember, I'll just say that on that one part because we have a minute here. And just remember, right, on a work order, when we come into the work order, I'm just trying to cover the address here. Okay. Always remember, Rue gives you the intelligence on every question, on every answer that's given. And if that intelligence aligns with the way that you view it, just like an employee, good job. Challenge yourself to give Rue 5 good jobs before the end of this week. I would love to see it. Right. And if you don't like it, adjust Rue's behavior just like an employee so it thinks and acts just like you do.
All right. We'll see you on the next webinar. Great job, buddy.